justice is the ability of one to be able to seek legal remedies in different aspects, whether they are formal or very informal. But however, we've noticed that there are also barriers to seeking this justice and to seeking these remedies that will be needed. So when we speak on the aspect or on the concept of access to justice, we then have to look at the legal aid, the adjudication, the enforcement mechanisms, and the CSO oversight over all the processes that will be needed. In our justice system, we have also realized that there are different challenges that come from structural, administrative, or simply an issue to do with mental health that have been a barrier for our society to access justice. We have noted that people do not have adequate information on knowing or do not have the know-how on how to first access justice from different platforms. On the informal platform or within the informal sector, there are no adequate procedures to resolve issues, especially if they are legal issues. We can give examples of having a dispute within a family and there are no adequate structures. Culturally, we've noticed that where there is, let's say, gender-based violence between a man and a woman within a setting of a family, one can go to their tete or their aunt in English, or they can actually go to their pastors as the time has revolved. But having no knowledge on how to pursue this justice within the legal systems has become a major barrier. We do not have information disseminating from different governmental parastatals or government institutions that are fixed with dealing with the issues to do with gender-based violence. Therefore, we have had to see or to witness different non-governmental organizations. I will give examples of the very common ones: Zimbabwe Women Lawyers Association, Musasa Adult Rape Clinic, and even other organizations. We have Legal Resource Foundation, Zim Rights, to mention but a few, who have been disseminating information from different platforms. They've disseminated information on radio on how to report issues and how to then pursue remedies. After these reporting procedures have been done, or after someone has accessed the information, we then have the issues of structural barriers being a major concern in the system or within the pyramid triangle on access and justice. We have a very huge concern. Some buildings are not accessible, especially to people with disability. We can give, for examples, there have been government direct approach or direct recognition of the need to have an inclusive society where people with disabilities are catered for. An example of structural barriers has been witnessed from different police stations where persons living with disability have been unable to report their matters. As a result, they have failed to get privacy whilst they report to whoever will be in charge, especially from the victim-friendly unit. Stemming from these barriers, we have also noted that not only people with disability cannot report to the police station, it then tallies with the issues of not having adequate information on how to access these infrastructures. Most of the people that we have seen reporting formally to the police station have ended up having to explain or to express their complaints with the person who will be at the gate, who is not a police officer trained to deal with victim-friendly unit-related issues which are sensitive in nature, most particularly gender-based violence. We have also noted that there are so many administrative issues that are causing the general public to face barriers in accessing to justice. In this regard, we have the issues to do with finances. From our different budget lines, we have noted that we do not have safe shelters that have been established specifically by the government to protect the interests of those who have complained or survivors of violence. We are getting into a political year where we will see that there will be a lot of gender-based violence which is politically affiliated. We do not have specific shelters that have been erected or that have been built by the government. We have also noted that as a result of the COVID-19 surge, most of the safe shelters that we have had around Zimbabwe have been incapacitated to help everyone who has faced gender-based violence. Most of them have been full and have gone beyond their capacity, as a result causing survivors of gender-based violence to still be faced with their perpetrators. In this regard, we strongly advocate that in terms of finances, we are supposed to have financial budgets for different government institutions, especially the Judicial Service Commission and the National Prosecuting Authority, that will be able to facilitate or to give shelter to those who will be reporting their processes. We also have an issue with an issue of interpreters within the court system. We do not have people who are able to sign. Even the material that is provided at court cannot be interpreted or cannot be read by those who use sign language or who use Braille. As a result, there is no access to justice from the courts. We've also noted that from the administrative effect, human resource is a huge issue. Within the COVID-19 pandemic stage, we have noted that most of the prosecutors or whoever is supposed to help people from the court have been left indisposed. As a regard, the National Prosecuting Authority or the JSC has been left understaffed. Most of the cases have not been finalized, stemming from 2020 up to date, and we are saying access to justice is the warrant of someone having been able to find a remedy within the court system. So if there is no completion of a case, there is no remedy. There is no adequate adjudication of information or of cases on behalf or for the benefit of a complainant or a survivor of gender-based violence. In this regard, we also look at the issues to do with transport costs. We do not have adequate resourcing to be able to give to witnesses. Most non-governmental organizations have helped to complement the government, but it is not enough, as the National Prosecuting Authority itself should be able to hand out witness expenses for those who come to court as the complainants to give testament to the issues that would have been reported before the court. We have also noted that as a result of all of these barriers, the community itself has been left with serious mental health issues or mental health challenges, anxiety, depression, and it has also taken away the capacity of a complainant or a person who will be in need of a remedy from the court to be able to fairly go about their case or to be able to give evidence to the court, therefore an impediment to the accessing of justice. The general public and the community has been deterred from reporting their matters because they have lost confidence within the justice system as a result of all of these barriers that I have expressed. However, there are certain recommendations or there are certain things that could be done from both a governmental or a non-governmental perspective so as to mitigate these challenges. The government is supposed to be able to give adequate budgets that completely fulfill the mandate of different arms of the government. We have the Ministry of Women Affairs as also an arm of the government that assists in gender-based violence matters. They should also have budget to be able to cater for transport costs for perpetrators, survivors, not perpetrators of violence, to be able to access different services, whether formal or informal. We also need the different arms of the government to be able to be accountable for the budgets that they have. If each government authority which has to deal with gender-based violence does not give a proper, transparent accounting and reporting strategy to also lessen the effects of gender-based violence, then it means we are supposed to also have different strategies so as not to fund for their budgets in terms of the line of work that they will be doing. We also need the different governmental authorities to be able to give continuous assessment statements of the work that they would have done. To only have updates on a yearly basis is not adequate enough for the different stakeholders, for the community to build its confidence within the ambit of how different financial budgets are being dealt with from different areas. We also recommend that the government becomes self-sustaining and be as it should be. Different legal acts of parliament have ended up hiding behind the aspect of subject to the availability of resources, which is not enough for a country that is willing to actually deal with gender-based violence and to give the services to the community. At the end of the day, it puts pressure on the people who are supposed to assist the direct survivors of this violence, therefore a need for transparency and accountability. We have noted that failure of accountability by different governmental institutions, or failure to actually get the resourcing that different governmental institutions which deal with gender-based violence can be or will be tantamount to corruption, and this directly impacts on and against the fight of gender-based violence from different levels, from reporting to other issues. We also recommend that we have many institutions dealing with issues to do with mental health. As a result of mental health, we have noted that there is a lot of secondary victimization from different arms of the government and the NGOs that are dealing with gender-based violence issues. We would largely, or I would largely recommend that there are certain guidelines that are placed with regards to case survivor protocols, especially noting that the COVID-19 pandemic has aired, or it has made it very clear that mental health is a very important part which can influence or actually deter an individual from reporting issues, and also to avoid secondary victimization. There is need for information dissemination. Most of the people who do not know how to access the courts, how to access the police or other service providers tasked with fighting against gender-based violence is resulted from not having adequate information. We would actually promote that we get more activities around awareness raising, whether people are going to walk into the communities, campaigns within different societies and so forth. That would be very necessary. We also encourage the community not to interfere with cases of gender-based violence, to actually support whoever would have faced, will be a survivor of gender-based violence, to be able to find trust with different arms of the government that have been trained to support survivors of gender-based violence. For example, with the police, we have the victim-friendly unit, which is adequately trained to deal with these sensitive issues. We have also different non-governmental organizations that assist. For example, Musasa, Zimbabwe Women Lawyers Association, Adult Rape Clinic. We also encourage that there be a good workable synergy between non-governmental organizations that might have the funds to complement different arms of the government, so that we will be able to protect and give adequate services to survivors of gender-based violence. Thank you.